of my journeys was as crew of the USS Enterprise. By any Trekkies here? Any that Star Wars Trekkie? Star Trek? Oh, cool. Well, I was aboard the real USS Enterprise. And you know this boat is big when you go out and you look up at the Golden Gate Bridge from the bottom and you can almost touch it. And you look at the mast go by and you say, that sucker isn't going to clear. So, but it clears. And it cleared by about 5 feet at low tide. So you can think every time you go over the Golden Gate Bridge how big that is. It's a 1/4 mile long. And I spent time up on the bridge. Most of the time I spent was night times or daytimes. You had 4 on, 4 off for duties. And I spent it on the bridge a lot. And this is one adventure that I want to share with you. Because I want to tell you, I am not from Boat U. Boat U is Annapolis. I'm not from Boat U. I have a degree in philosophy. I remember he told you last week I have a BS in philosophy from St. Thomas University in Minnesota. The biggest I've seen a boat was my little 14-foot runabout. And I'm aboard this big ship, and I sort of got put in there from the aviation branch for a few years. There I was, up on the bridge. And we were off Hawaii on this journey. And they were doing what they call fleet maneuvers. They were all practicing. And I was up there, and it was a special occasion because they had all kinds of people up there because they were running these maneuvers. And this is where all these ships go in formation. And the Enterprise, their big carrier is right in the middle. And there I was, looking around on the bridge, and I says, well, I can just sort of hide in the corner. There's all these cool guys. Look at these guys. I got 3 guys from Annapolis here. I got the captain. I got everyone. I says, I can just hide and watch. I could just be a wonderful watcher. Well, they came and I looked around and you could look off and you had this beautiful view. And you see ships, little ships, big ships. You seen destroyers, you saw tankers, you saw even submarines out there. And they were all out there. It was, wow, we're all in formation. The captain turned around and says, prepare for me the next turn. Because it was one main turn where everyone turns together. And he looks over at the 3 of us. And someone come up and whispered to us, the navigator is sick and the bosun won't be here for another half hour. Well, these are the 2 real people that direct the ship. So I look over at these 2 guys from Boat U. I don't have a problem. They'll know what to do. So we all sat down, and I had a little experience flying, in jets. I did navigation. I sat down. I did all my instructions. Each one of us sat at our own little table, or stood at our own little table. You don't sit. And I had mine all set up, and I set it up there. And so there I was, all these boats out there. And the captain looked over at these fellas and looked over at me, sort of secondary. He was looking at them because they're from Boat U. They've got the information, and both of them looked at each other like. I said, oh, and the captain. And I looked at all 3 of them, and I had my calculator. So I went down and calculated it. And I says, come on, you guys, come through with it. And it was quiet for about 7 or 8 minutes, maybe 10. And usually, if you have total quiet aboard a bridge, it's scary, except in the middle of the night. So I looked. See, you got to get in the Navy. You're much more likely to succeed if you don't do anything. because then they don't find anything wrong and just sort of do pretty little things, and then you get promoted. But you make a mistake, like telling the captain to turn at the wrong time, and all that 5 years of education is down the drain, and these guys weren't ready. And I looked and I says, I'm no more going to stay in the Navy than the man in the moon. Those you know, those big ships and all that, all the steel I went through was like going through a jail. And I said, so I sat down and did my calculation one more time, and I waited, and I came, it was 3 minutes before I thought the turn would go, then it got 2 minutes, it got right to 1 minute, I said, 1 minute, make a turn, 030, well, the captain looks at me, okay, you know, he says, 1 minute, make a turn, starboard 030, and I said, oh my God, what have I done? I looked at all these boats out there and I said, this is scary. I'm in control. I made the choice of this huge ship making a turn. And I looked and I sort of shivered. And I said, God, and he started making the turn. And I've never seen one of these formation turns. And I wanted to go like this. But I couldn't go like this. I had to stand at attention and watch this whole thing happen. And everything looked like chaos. I said, oh my, I'm going to hear that, everything's going to hit the Enterprise in a second. I said, oh no, no, no. And then I watched, and everything went in formation, and the turn was perfect. But I had to stand at attention and not go. I had to stand. 3 minutes later, the navigator came on.